Welcome to Cosplayers Paradigm, a podcast about everything cosplay related, from the conventions that you love to the people that you love even more. And now, let's get on to the show.
Welcome again to another episode of Cosplayers Paradigm. Today I am joined with Teramisu Cosplay, a wonderful person that I went ahead and met down in the GalaxyCon who blew my mind with just their personality, their talent, and their cosplays in general. Say hello, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Tara. I've been cosplaying for over 12 years now. I'm one of those cosplayers that builds their own cosplays, and I also like to teach other people how they can do that as well. Because I went through a lot of trial and error, and if you're a cosplayer, you understand that is all that cosplay is about: trial and error over and over again until you get something that works, something that's comfortable for you, etc. And I like to spend a lot of time with my communities and followers and meeting up with them as well, getting to know as many people as possible. And I like to also make cosplay content on TikTok, Instagram, and a few other social media apps as well. And I am also one of the co-founders for Mental Wellness and Cosplay, which is something that I recently got involved in December of 2024. And we have already, as of 2 days ago, successfully became an official nonprofit in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So essentially, you've got a lot going on there, it sounds like. 12 years experience into the cosplay community. What was your initial reason for even getting into cosplay?
Oh, I have a funny story about that. I actually had a friend that's just like, "You're going to start cosplaying." I'm like, "Okay." It's like, "Yeah, pick a character from Soul Eater, and I'm gonna make you watch that anime. Two, pick someone." So I picked Maka, and my hair was down to here when I was cosplaying Maka, and I just kind of tied my hair up in pigtails, and then I grabbed a trench coat and modified it. Like, no one look at my seams from my first cosplay, okay? Everything was a tangled mess, but that's okay. That's how cosplay starts. And I went to a photo shoot that the anime club at the university I was attending had, and I decided to keep at it from there.
Wow. That's a fun way to go ahead and do that. Have a friend just tell you, no, yep, you're coming with me.
Yep. That was it. Nope, you're cosplaying now. Like, okay, and I loved it, so I'm thankful for that.
We are too. For the work that I've seen so far, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Your Lucifer was so on point.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, I can't show that right now. But when this episode comes out, I am going to post it in the comments, so at least it's still visible.
Sounds good.
So, how many cons have you ended up going to so far?
You talking about the ones I go to yearly, or in total, like including the many years that I've been going to cons? 'Cause I started going to cons the same year I started cosplaying.
Okay, so you've gone to a lot of them.
Oh yeah, gone to them every single year since.
Well, I guess let's go ahead and narrow that down to the main cosplayer, the conventions that you'd like to go to every year.
So I like to go to ColossalCon Prime. I've been going to that since before it became widespread across the country. I go to MatsuriCon. I was attending OhioCon, and I also go to some smaller cons that are in the area, like ZipCon and a Marathon. And I also like to help out with other smaller cons in my local area, which is up near Cleveland. And I help with setup of cons and then promoting positivity within their community. And if they want to have more cosplay events, I also help them brainstorm some other events.
Wow, you get your handful with everything there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you navigate that between your personal life and all the cosplaying?
The answer is yes. So I do
I
work
like
full
that.
time. Yes, I work full time. I work in the medical field, and I work with
Oh,
data. So I'm really busy. But outside of that, when I'm not doing that, I am working on cosplay or I'm doing something for mental wellness and cosplay. So it's a lot of trying to balance work-life balance. But I love what I do enough with mental wellness and cosplay and with cosplay in general that it just kind of like revitalizes me and gets me up and ready to go again, even after I finish a long 8-hour shift at work.
That's nice. I mean, that works out perfect. Your actual job, what you're doing on the side, all, not too many people can find something that is cohesive like that. That's just very lucky or destined.
I feel very blessed to be able to have the opportunities that I've been given.
Definitely worth it. Yes.
Hmm.
Now you're talking about the mental wellness and everything. Let's talk a little bit more about that too. Let everyone else know what this is.
Yeah, so Mental Wellness in Cosplay is now a nonprofit that is focused around spreading positivity and reducing stigma within the cosplay community. So our overall goal is to affect the entirety of the art as a whole. But right now we are focusing on cosplay because, as we all know, that has been broken up to one too many groups that a lot of people are feeling isolated in. And we're trying to bring everyone together as much as possible, reducing any um, like I said, stigma, and also having enough of an impact to be able to take what we do and have it be an impact outside the cosplay community. So people from the outside of the cosplay community will have an understanding of how important cosplay can be to someone. So it is an art form. It's a way of expressing yourself, and all art is a way of expressing yourself. And there's never any wrong way of expressing yourself because the way you choose to express yourself is perfect, just the way it is.
Well said.
Thank you.
Now I saw that a part of that you did a social experiment recently,
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
and
did.
that was a little bit of a different experience that you expected.
It was, yeah. So I do have IRB certification, so I could do social behavioral experiments like that. And I'm using the data to be able to develop public health interventions and projects that mental wellness and cosplay can use to potentially reduce that behavior that I ran into, basically. So what I experienced is I cosplayed a character that is typically not well liked within a community just to see how the public would respond at a venue I never been to and an event that I never went to. And I did notice quite a different response. I was in very similar situations at that venue and event that I was in when I was cosplaying a more light character, which would be Lucifer from Hasbin Hotel. He's usually much more accepted within the community and kind of seen as the hero. Well, I cosplayed a villain from Hasbin Hotel that a lot of people are not that big of a fan of, and I had two entirely different responses. So I had when I cosplayed Adam, who's the villain. So it was taking the balloon away from me, giving me dirty looks when I was playing with the balloon that was already bouncing around the crowd. And when I was Lucifer at a different event, I had people handing me the balloon and then joining me and bouncing it back and forth. So it was interesting.
That sounds like it.
Hmm.
I've actually had a very similar experience, but not to that extent. Um, I went to a Fourth of July parade, and I was dressed as Overhaul from My Hero Academia.
Hmm.
Everyone else waving, everything's going good, and every now and then I would hear someone yell out my name and saying that we did not like what you did to Erie or we hate you, you know.
Hmm.
But I did notice something else though too. Even when they said stuff like that in a negative way, if I kept in character, they end up that's it was almost like that's what they were waiting for. So it was a kind of hit or miss, you know.
Okay, yeah, I could see that 100%. I
Now the
did. Hmm?
go ahead.
I did kind of feel like kind of like that kind of creepy guy in the corner, because I felt like uncomfortable to go up to talk to people with the experience that I had. But I also did have some other people comment saying they had similar experience to what you had, and also they had really good experiences. But some people also said I had the exact same thing happen. I'll never bring him to a con again. I'm just like that is heartbreaking.
It's actually made me curious now. I kind of want to find a couple of the cosplays like that and go to a con just to see what people would actually say to that. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Do you get the same type of feeling if you're a guy, girl, in between? Like, is there anything else along the lines? Is it the fandom? It's kind of curious.
Yeah, I will say that I have like my husband also goes to cons. We actually met at a Comic Con. We met at OhioCon back in 2016, um, where he's had the exact same thing happen no matter who he's cosplaying. Like all the
Okay.
exact experiences that I had.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Because I saw that up here in Michigan, there's the Grand Rapids Comic Con that takes place towards the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and Joel Perez was there, the voice of Valentino,
Mm-hmm.
but barely anyone was going up there to him, and a lot of people were just giving dirty looks. And it's like, come on, he is the voice actor, not the
Mm-hmm.
character. Differentiate the two, but gotta give him credit. If he actually makes enough people hate him because of how well he does, then he's successful.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job with that character, and it's really sad that he gets so much for not cosplaying, but for voice acting him. And that's another point that I touched on with that is I've heard so many people say things to Adam's voice actor, Valentino's voice actor, even Vox's voice actor, and to other cosplayers that also cosplays those characters, and they just say these nasty things, and it's like that's not the same person. That's they're a cosplayer, they're not the character.
Hmm. Definitely. Just like
Mm-hmm.
we're cosplaying, we're not the actual character ourselves, so why all the hate?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great thing that you're doing there, trying to make sure that people understand the difference between the two, educate them, just trying to go ahead and bring it back to the way it should be, inclusive
Yes.
and not divided.
Yes, and I firmly believe that we need to get the competition out of just the basic hanging out areas, like on social media, even at cons. The only place that competition should be is on a stage where you're competing. And most people who do cosplay competitions are trying to be a cosplay judge, or they're trying to get more involved in the cosplay community and the con community, like up level. And that is where that should stay because it is causing so many issues like imposter syndrome. People are giving up on cosplaying. They're giving up on even trying new skills if they don't get it in the first try. I know so many people, I can probably more than that would fit on my hand that I can count that have said that to me, that they just gave up because they saw someone else who cosplayed something that they saw in their minds to be better than what they made, even though that doesn't exist. That that better doesn't exist. It's just a cosplay, and that's what we need to get back to. It's expressing yourself, and if you want to learn the skills to make it look a certain way, you gotta practice, because there's a big part about like the practice makes perfect phrase that people forget. You have to teach your cells in your brain to be able to do those tasks. It's not just saying like, well, practice makes perfect, so just do it over and over again. Your brain needs to be able to learn how to make the connections more efficiently. And for stuff like metalworking, for a good example, you have to get strong enough in order to do it. So you can't just expect someone to grab a steel beam and be able to bend it first try. They need to practice over and over again.
Well said.
Thank you.
I mean, practice makes perfect. Of course, you can practice by doing the same thing over and over again, but you're going to get the exact same results. If you're not willing to learn, expand, broaden your horizons, then all that practice is for naught.
Got to train your body too.
Yeah.
You can't pick up a pencil and know how to do the exact line that you need to do. You have to practice for your arm to learn how to do that too.
Definitely. I like that.
Thank you.
Those people that said they are actually thinking about not cosplaying anymore, or have already said that, do you actually still have them in contact?
Yes, I actually personally go out of my way to contact them. Like, hey, if you're working on something, contact me. There's no need for you to sit there and get frustrated over and over again and not find something that works because you can't find what tutorial you're looking for online. I've been doing this for so long. I have the resources. I will send you the links to the stuff that I've learned from. If that doesn't work for you, I'll work with you for something else.
Oh, definitely. But if you want to reach out to them and let them know about the show, I would love to have them on the show so we can all talk together.
Yeah, I
And
could do that too.
I have a couple former guests that might actually be willing to come back on as well, who are in the same boat to the point where they relearned everything. They trained themselves to go ahead and do so many different stuff. So showing them that it doesn't matter. Duct tape, T-shirt, a box. It may be cheap. It's cosplay, and if people know who it is, then you succeeded.
Even
Take the
that,
win
like,
with a smile.
yeah, I've heard a few people like come up and do a few other cosplays I've got a little bit creative with and say, I don't know who you're cosplaying, but that's cool. I'm like, oh, I did this with this, and it's this character, and I did this with it. And it's just, you can still be a character, what I tell people on my like my lives when I go live and stuff is I say you don't need a wig, you don't need contacts, you don't need makeup, you don't need the full cosplay, you don't need to be canon. You can get creative with it. You put on something and you say you're that character, you're that character. Because it's your own version and there's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like the same thing you say, but you know, put it in another direction right there. If you want to say that you're a cosplayer, then you're a cosplayer.
Yep.
You know, that positivity. I love that. Wow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we definitely need more of this because I'm loving this. I mean, you're all the way over there. I'm all the way up here, but I can still feel the aura through this of just that radiant positivity.
Well, thank you so much. That's why I have joined with mental wellness and cosplay, as I want to spread more of this.
Well, keep up the good work because you guys are
Thank
doing
you.
a wonderful job. And seeing you guys there, at, you know, GalaxyCon, I'm assuming that was at least 4 or 5 of you.
There's only 3 of us actually.
Also, the other 2 that were showing up were just random.
So we around that time it was just 2 of us, and it was Jeff, who's the founder, and then me, who was acting as co-founder, but we haven't really established what I was doing yet. And it was kind of like that week I joined him.
Okay.
To tell you
Wow.
how long I've been there, it's only been just a little over a month since we started working together. And then shortly after that was when he told me that he had another cosplayer that is interested in being our marketing coordinator. So now we have a project coordinator who is me, and then the other co-founder, which is they go by Mother of Cats on Instagram and TikTok. I think they have other platforms. I'm not sure though, but they're the marketing coordinator. So Jeff's the founder. There's me, and then there's Mother of Cats.
If I'm not mistaken, they follow me.
I think so.
That name sounds very familiar. So,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
so what kind of cosplays do you have coming up in the future that you're thinking about?
Really big ones. So I normally like to build, like my whole thing is I was a Legend of Zelda cosplayer when I first started. Well, I did Maka, but like I loved Legend of Zelda and I immediately dove into it. So I did Imp Midna was my first big build. So I had the Fused Shadow and I even had like the hand coming up from the wig that I just grabbed the wig. It was a long-haired wig, and then I struggled with putting the ponytail together because it's nearly impossible to make a ponytail out of a long wig. And then I hot glued a hand that I made out of upholstery foam that I just hot glued on fabric. And I used that, and then whenever people would take pictures of me, I just grab the ponytail and hold it above my head. But I built
Nice.
Calamity Ganon from Breath of the Wild. I
Okay.
did a humanoid version of that. I had the shadow of Ganon that kind of flies around Hyrule Castle. I had it made of entirely upholstery foam. I painted it, and then I attached tulle to it and put LEDs through it and put on a PVC pipe that was also painted the same color, and I just swung it around at ColossalCon one year. But I had a 12-piece EVA foam armor piece that I made for that cosplay. But going off of my other big cosplays like that, I want to the most recent one when I did Lucifer's full form from Hazbin Hotel. I actually did not make the wings, but I normally do. I'm going to be making my own wings. I'm going to be making his jacket. I'm keeping the horns because I made those, and then I'm going to be making his vest. So really, a lot of crafting coming up, and then I want to make Adam's battle outfit with his wings as well. So those are my 2 that are coming up besides finishing up Lilith's wig from Hazbin Hotel. But Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles, that's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are my big cosplays this year that I'm doing.
Nice. Sounds like you had your hands full.
Oh yes.
Now, are you sticking down to just in the Ohio area, or are you going to branch out to a couple different states as well?
I am going to mostly be in Ohio this year, but starting in 2026, I want to start branching out to other states. I think this year, if I'm financially able to, I was going to go to Aachen, ACEN. That con I've never been before, but I know it's a really big one, and I think it's in Illinois. I
Okay.
want to try to go to that con, but that would be my first like out of state con. I've never been to a con out of Ohio.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I know how the feeling this past year was the first time I've actually left the state for a con. But it was also the
Understandable.
first year that I actually went to more than one con.
Oh, very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
I ended up going to 9 cons that year.
That's a
And
lot.
yes, normally though it's only in November, and it's always the Grand Rapids one here in Michigan. But yeah, last year I was able to go ahead and start off in right here in Cadillac, and then from there went to a few others in Detroit. I'm sorry, not Detroit, Flint, and Novi over by Detroit, and Kalamazoo, Grand Haven. You know, just all over the place. And then finally, all the way down into Columbus, Ohio.
That's amazing.
It
Today's
was an adventure.
Yeah, this year's gonna be my first year doing more than 4 cons in a single year. I have a con plan every single month, so I'm about to feel what you did with the running around all over the place.
Do a little bit of planning makes a
hmm
lot of difference.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Because mental wellness and cosplay is we're going to be trying to get into as many cons as possible. I know we just landed a panel at ZipCon. We were going to try to get a booth at Fan Expo in Cleveland in March, and we're just submitting application after applications to try to get into as many cons as possible.
I hear you there.
Mm,
There's actually one coming up here in March, but it still hasn't updated with their application. It still says it's 2024, and they
mm.
said it was already supposed to be up. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I also don't want to be that guy that constantly messages them and like, hey, come on, I'll leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth. Like I don't want to hear from this guy again. Anyway,
Understandable. Yeah. Been there, done
so
that.
but we're gonna see about that. I'm actually trying for a couple others out of state as well, but we're not sure how that's going to go just yet. But I'm going to make my attempt, and I'm actually going to be a panelist at a con coming up in March as well.
Oh, that's exciting. What are you
It
doing for
is.
your panel?
So, ironically, because I run a podcast, I am going to
Mm.
be on stage doing my podcast.
That's that's gonna be fun. I like that.
Yeah, so instead of just on the internet and people, chiming in afterwards, I will be
Mhm.
doing it live. It'll still be a recording, but I'll be having an audience. One of the, uh, sorry, I keep saying
That's okay. That's okay.
So one of the cosplay guests has agreed to be one of my guests on the show. And I talked to the coordinator of the show, and he's making sure that our panels do not cross of any sort. So that way, if anyone wants to be on the show, they can. And then I'm probably going to be taking some people from the audience. And if they let me go ahead and do it multiple days, I might go ahead and get the winners of the cosplay contest and see about getting them on there. But for right
That'd be
now, it's
amazing.
up in the air of who the extra guests are going to be.
That'd be amazing. I'm really excited for you. And of course, that's gonna be filmed, so I'm gonna definitely keep an eye out for that.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely
Mhm.
going to be posting that one there. So it's just a little different. When they ask
Mhm.
me, "Hey, do you want anything?" It's like, what can I ask for? Equipment? Yes. Can I get this, this, this? I went through the list and they said yes. So at that point, it's like, should have asked for more. But yeah,
Start. Good stuff.
that should be definitely a fun one. I'm just a little nervous, but that's always going to be expected.
hmm
I mean, you cannot just go into everything always being brave. If you have nerves of anything that you're worrying about, even if it's the most minute thing, it just means you're human and you're trying to go ahead and be prepared.
I like that. That was me right before I got on here. A little bit nervous, and then I opened it up like there's a camera. That's right. So I ran and got ready.
Yep. Which is all good. I mean,
mm,
when you think about it, you're in the safety of your home. And
mm.
if it starts getting a little too nerve wracking, it is a camera, which means you can simply turn it off.
Very true.
So, always keep that in mind. You have the power, no one else does. Never let anyone else have the power over you.
That right there. I like that.
And it works in cosplay too. You walk
hmm
into a con, you walk in to a restaurant down the street, you're doing a photo shoot. Okay, maybe you hear someone go ahead nagging you and say, "Oh my God, look at that guy. What's he dressed as?" Hey, doesn't matter. Now they're curious. They're going to go ahead and
hmm
try figuring out what it is later on. They may be saying something now, but it's going to make them go, "Wonder who that was."
Maybe
Take
they'll
every little
find
win.
maybe they'll find mental wellness and cosplays page, and then they can find out that it's a form of expression, and they shouldn't be judgmental of it.
Everyone says, you know, I mean, publicity is publicity. Negative publicity still gets people talking about it.
Yep.
You know,
That's
so
why. That's why I encourage people to use their voice too. That was the big point I made with my social experiment. Is this is not to bring hate to the people that did show excuse me, I'm sorry. It's not to show hate to the people that did give me like a negative response or to the venue or anything like that. It is to just say, hey, this is a thing that happens. We need to educate each other more on it, because sometimes for some people it might seem like common sense. Hey, that's clearly just a person. They're not 2D, or even if they're cosplaying someone from a 3D like reality TV show. Still, it's a costume. It's a character. It's a cosplay, and just talking more about this topic of people who are not who they are cosplaying or who they voice act or who they act as. That'll help help reduce some of the stigma as well.
this is true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hearing about that, honestly, the first thing that came to mind was an old movie. I can't remember the movie. I
Hmm.
remember the character of who was in the movie, and it was Jada Pinkett Smith when she was younger. She loved this TV show, saw the actual character in the street right there, and was like, oh my God, I got to run up there. Yelled his character name, and then punched him in the face. And then started going off with that's for going ahead and leaving this person or leaving them on, and you know, all this. Where her partner had to go ahead and tell her, no, that is just an actor. You just punched the guy in the, you know, in the face in the streets for no reason, you know. And it stuck with me right there, you know, all these years of how some people don't quite have that, you know, dissection between the reality to the fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not only does that happen with like physical violence, it can also go to other types of violence as well.
Exactly.
And
I mean, internet, text, letters, all sorts of different media as well.
mm-hmm. Media, in-person violence, all that stuff, it can spread to that. But this is just one of the many things within the cosplay community that I want to touch base on. I want to try to get something going for everything that anyone could think of. That's another good example is people who are of maybe even like different faiths or stuff like that that get like, oh well, this is a show, but like another good way with the Has-Been Hotel, this is a show about hell. What are you doing here having this other faith? Like, get out of here. It's a problem. And also the recent issues with the don't say gay bills that have recently passed. That's going to be impacting particularly children in the cosplay community and their mental wellness. So having something at cons that just distracts them for a little bit, such as sidewalk chalk drawing, um, bubbles, face paint, it's like something that is geared towards just here's your wellness. This is your safe place. You don't have to worry about any judgment at all here. And expanding some way, shape, or form to be able to also help that population.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that into the cons and make that more of a regular thing, you know, inclusivity for the kids, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I think that's a brilliant idea.
Well, thank you.
In fact, maybe even go ahead and take it a step up and have an interactive panel too.
Yes, we are trying to find someone who specializes in well-being, children's well-being and wellness. But right now, that is just one of the list of many projects that I am working on. That we're
Oh,
working on, because I find the projects and then we work on them.
well, at least you have a group to be able to help work on the projects. Unfortunately, it's pretty much only me. So,
I understand how that can be.
yeah, I've got an idea for a panel that I want to
Mm.
do. And once I get a little bit more of the legwork on it, I'm going to go ahead and reach out to a couple particular people, see what they think, and then see about getting a group together. And I'm also looking to try doing something as a fundraiser or something to bring back to the community this year as well. Tried
That'd be
last year,
amazing.
didn't work out very well because
Mm.
Still new face, new name. The first
Hmm.
thing that people even read, oh yeah, this is another scam. And I get where they're coming from, but when you're trying to do something nice, it's hard to get the foot in the door.
It is. I've
But
had a few moments like that where I feel like I'm like talking about something that people are thinking are scammy. I'm like, no, no. If you want, you can just go check it out and knock it on your own. Here's the name. If you're curious, go for it.
exactly.
Hmm.
Now, you got a lot on your plate there, of course, with the mental wellness, the large cosplays, different cons that you're going to, kind of branching out everything. Well, let's look a little bit more into you right now, because I don't know if I read this correctly, but is today your birthday?
It is not. No.
Okay. Because I
Those,
saw that, like, well, wait a second, that doesn't seem right.
yeah, my birthday's in August. That was someone made a little like one of those little Instagram note bubbles, and they said it was my birthday, and I told them happy birthday.
Okay, that makes
Hmm.
more sense. Otherwise, this would have been kind of interesting having you on here at the same time, but either way. Now, you got a lot of different things like that, but let's go ahead and look at something else. What is your dream cosplay?
My dream cosplay is Ganondorf from Twilight Princess.
Wow.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say that's ambitious or not. Wink, wink. So you're going to go ahead and do the whole thing.
Yep.
Hair,
Hold it.
bodysuit, wow.
Hmm.
Do
Maybe
you have
even prosthetic on my nose. We'll see.
oh, wow.
Hmm.
You have a projection of when you're hoping to get that done at some point, or is it just one of those up in the air?
When I am financially able to, 'cause that is going to be pricey.
Yes, I
Hmm.
can see that. Good answer.
Oh yeah. Gotta get a house first though, so I have space for for it.
This is true. Having a
Hmm.
house, having a place in general to be able to go ahead and do things like that, it would
Yep.
be definitely beneficial.
It's kind of
Get your own
helpful. I'm
station.
yes. It's kind of helpful that I'm 5'1", so it'll be a tiny Ganondorf. But that doesn't matter. You can cosplay anyone you want, whether whatever height you are.
This is true.
Hmm.
This is very true. I have a couple fun ones that I want to go ahead and do this year, but we'll see how that goes. I have a list of the ones that I am going to do this year. I don't care what happens. I will find a way to do it. If I have
Good.
to, I will get someone to help me out with it. But
Good.
and the good part is it's only four that's a definite. The rest
Okay.
of them are we'll see how it goes this year.
I'm excited for you. That's gonna
But
be
one of them,
great.
but one of them is technically a closet cosplay. Except
Hmm.
I don't like how the clothes fit.
Okay.
It's weird, and I don't know if it's just me or other people have the same feeling. But have you ever noticed that when you're trying to wear clothes, regular clothes, as
Mm.
a costume, somehow it feels more constrictive than it does if you're on your everyday?
Yep.
Okay, it's not just me. Good. So I'm thinking about actually making the clothes, so that way they have a little bit more room, a little bit more flexibility, but give that same look of being regular clothes.
Okay.
And that one, it's going to be a little hard because I have to find the right fabric and get it done, but it'll be a pair of suit pants and a vest.
May I make a suggestion for the fabric?
Yes, absolutely.
As, so what I'm about. Okay, so fabric's about to get really, really expensive, especially like polyester that's normally used for suits.
Hmm.
What I highly recommend doing is going to a thrift store and seeing if they have it there. As since I'm making my Lucifer jacket,
Hmm.
I bought this really nice dark red silk. These um, a nice replacement for interfacing, which is what makes like his collar stand up and the lapels look sharp and stiff in his shoulders, that spiky shoulders.
Hmm.
I got those as dinner mats for at a thrift store, and I also recently got more interfacing just in case I needed it. And I've spent less than $20. And that's with coupons and with getting them from a thrift store. I spent $7 on the silk and on the five dinner mats in total.
That
Highly
works.
recommend it.
So I actually do go to the thrift stores to find most of my stuff.
Perfect.
But because it's a vest and because of the pants, I'm a bigger guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the cut on those, it's hard to get right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I squat, I sit down, my thighs gain about 3 or 4 more inches around, so that sometimes actually rips the pants, which is kind of
Mm,
funny to say, but and a vest, it
mhm.
doesn't fit on my torso right. The rest of it though is easy. I just go ahead and find a shirt, a tie, I got the trench coat. Then I have to go ahead and talk to a friend of mine who made a wonderful President Mike wig and ask how to do the same thing but to my actual hair instead of a wig.
Okay.
Now, do you play a lot of older games?
Define older.
90s.
I have a Dreamcast and I've played it on the Dreamcast and
Okay,
Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. So yes.
perfect.
Mm,
So, are you familiar with the fighting game Tekken?
yes.
Mishima version of the Kazuya Mishima with the trench coat.
I need to look that up, but I have an idea of who you're talking about.
The hair is spiked in the back, goes straight back, jet black hair. Yep,
Yep. Okay,
that
I know who
is
you're talking about.
that is the idea for one just regular closet cosplay.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm hoping so because he's always been my favorite character. Even after the third one came out and Jin and all these others characters,
Hmm.
yeah, flashy, flamboyant. Something about his character was always, you know, right down my alley, I guess you could say.
That's awesome. So he's a character that you feel like you can really relate to.
Oh yeah, even though he is a bad guy, it's the fact that the troubles that he goes through. I mean, is he strong? Yes. Is he the strongest? No. I've noticed that pretty much all the characters I like, whether in anime, cartoons, or whatnot, have that same qualities. Like Vegeta. Anyone who knows Dragon Ball knows Vegeta is a tough SOB,
Hmm.
but he's not the strongest by far, and he's got a lot of faults. Yep, I can definitely relate to that.
That's awesome. I love hearing how people relate to the cosplays that they do because I know a lot of people cosplay characters just because they relate to them.
Yep, but unfortunately, my list is a little longer than just the ones I relate to.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
like you
me.
said, this, you
Yep.
know,
Yep, exactly. And there's one really important thing that comes with cosplay, and I can say this um, a little background on me. I have a master's in public health. My concentration was in social behavioral sciences. So I studied a lot of different types of therapy and stuff that relate to behavioral health. And one of the most important things that I found with cosplay is that it actually is a form of a therapy called family systems therapy. So it is taking something that you relate to and finding out why you relate to it and what part of your personality did that characteristic come from. Like what part of your personality, but also what event caused that trait to develop. So people who are finding characters that they relate to is because they went through something very similar to what that character went through, or there's like a small little bit of their character that like, hey, I recognize that little piece of me in that character because they went through this. It may not be the exact situation that I went through, but I had that same trait. I want to cosplay that character, and it's very therapeutic doing that, especially for people who have trauma, because you're working through that trauma and figuring out the emotion and how to handle it.
definitely well said. And
Thank
I couldn't agree more. But I am not going to go ahead and divulge that kind of stuff right now. But
mm,
yes, we all experience it in one way, shape, or form. And it is a good way to definitely let it out.
for
Um,
sure.
someone went ahead and mentioned it a while back, and I never noticed it. But they said, I'm happiest when I'm cosplaying and at the cons than I am anywhere else. And I never noticed it before that I feel more at home doing that.
You're around people that are doing the same thing, that have the same hobbies as you, and that's what I tell people. And like, it doesn't matter the follower count; they're still someone who just has the same hobby as you.
You know, someone else mentioned that about the follower account, but the way they said it, and this one definitely stuck with me as well. You could go online, you could create a TikTok, you could have a Facebook and try getting all these followers. Maybe you only have 10, 12, and it's not that many. Well, what if those 10 or 12 people were your entire family? Would you be satisfied if your family is the one supporting you and saying, good job, rather than total strangers? Absolutely. So it's not about the number, it's about the quality of who the people are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You could have people that don't interact, and they don't. It's not like they don't matter. It's just that also the people who do interact, it's like having a support network that I personally never really had a lot of support growing up. I had a lot of like just like I don't know if I've kind of learned that it's just kind of like expectations that this would that like oh yeah you would do this, of course you would, but like as a child I never understood that, and it was always like hey mom look at this, and it's like yeah it's nice honey anyway. So it was a lot of that growing up, and then when I finally started cosplaying from Hazbin Hotel around almost this time last year, I went from just having people who just expected things from me, like yeah you're in our fandom, you're here to entertain us, kind of like feeling, to this openly and overwhelming support that I never could have even fathomed or imagined. And I'm just so thankful for it because it's completely changed me as a person, and I will continue to tell them every single day how thankful I am for them, because I was close to giving up because I felt like I was just being taken advantage of a little bit.
Yeah, I know that all too well.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff from my past that I used to love doing, and I stopped for the longest time because I was told it's not that good. It's it's a dumb hobby. I don't know why you're doing that. If you can't make money off of it, why you're doing it, and all that kind of stuff was just kept shoving in my face. But now that negativity is gone, and I'm trying to get back to the way I used to be. It's a long road, but
Good.
I will tell you, I got a smile on my face, and that smile hasn't really been there for a while. And it takes small strides, but everything is still forward. A stride, no matter how big, if it's an inch, if it's a foot, if it's a hop, you know, it's moving forward, not
For
going
sure.
back.
For sure. And you're not letting those people win anymore, which is fantastic.
Exactly. I'm trying to go ahead and let myself win with
Good.
every small little win. Just trying to get life, you know.
You should absolutely be proud of that too.
Every time I wake up, I'm proud that I'm actually doing something again. But there are those moments where I stop dead in my tracks, and it's like a looming negativity that's just, you don't want to do this today. And I'm not saying it's not hard, because it is difficult, because anyone who's ever experienced that knows that it makes you want to just curl back up in that ball. But I don't. I may go ahead and take a little while, but I end up unballing and keep moving forward still.
And you just got to remind yourself that you're human. And that does
Exactly.
happen. And
Exactly.
sometimes you have those thoughts because you really do just need a break that day. It's okay if take a break when you need it.
Very true.
Hmm.
And people need to realize that, you know, everyone entitled to a break, you
Yes.
know, a 5 minute break, a whole day break, 3 days, you know, just the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again and nothing changing is essentially the definition of crazy. And you don't want to put yourself into that. You want to go ahead and live life, even if you're not successful, even if you only make $12 an hour, $5 an hour, and you're content with what you are. You have a roof, you have food, you know, take the wins where you can and smile.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful day out, and there's always more to do.
Exactly. That's always something that I like to remind people of is if you're happy, that's what counts. And um, also what was I going to say? Also the whole I really just lost my train of thought here. There's so
My
many good
apologies.
things that you were saying. I was like, yes, that point. Yes, yes, yes. Checking off on my list.
Well, like minded people, you know.
Mm, exactly.
Now, out of curiosity,
Mhm.
if you could go ahead and travel anywhere in the world to do a photo shoot, where would it be, and what would the photo shoot be?
I would love to do a Legend of Zelda photo shoot in, let's see, I think Arcadia National Park. or in
Ooh.
Yellowstone.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Get the natural shadows from all the trees. And even if you get lightning bugs at night, especially with the lack of light pollution.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Love that.
Oh, definitely. You're actually the first person that I've asked. It did not say the same place.
Oh yeah? What do people normally say?
Japan.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great place, and honestly,
Mm.
it's one of the places I would have chosen too, but for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I loved the martial arts, and there is a character that I will cosplay at one point, but if I could do a photo shoot, it's of that character in Japan, and that's Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur.
Yes.
Just that
That'd be amazing.
samurai armor that's broken, the long black hair, the ponytail, just something about it.
I would love to do a Demon Slayer photo shoot in Japan.
Ooh, now that would be epic. But
Mm-hmm.
the question is Tanjiro or
Oh,
someone else?
absolutely. Tanjiro, yeah. Yep,
Okay. Then you just get a couple other people to be your Zenitsu and Inosuke, and then you have some fun.
absolutely.
Yeah, I will say this much though: if I could go to Japan, it's the anime parks and all that stuff, yes. But I am a big geek about one particular fandom, and I'm scared of heights. But they
Mm.
have it there as a zip line, and I would so go on the Godzilla zip line.
Ooh, yes.
So if I'm gonna die, I'll go ahead and die going in his mouth.
There
There.
you go. I was actually recently in Japan for my honeymoon, so I think I actually saw that.
Oh,
I was there for 2.5 weeks.
lucky. Oh,
Fantastic. I actually know exactly what spot I would do Demon Slayer photo shoot. Would be one of the I'd 100%. So one of the biggest things with taking photos in Japan is it has to be in a place that allows you to take photos. You can't take photos inside of temples, and there's certain shrines and like um well respected areas that you cannot take photos in. So I would 100% ask for permission. But there's a temple that I particularly have in mind. That's a park in Kyoto.
okay.
A lot of places in Kyoto is the spiritual capital of Japan. Do not allow pictures. But if I could and got everyone's consent, I would love to do one. I forget the name of the temple, but I think it actually was an old castle, and they had this um big lake that was right in the middle of it, and it reminded me of one of the scenes from Demon Slayer. And I actually think that was one of the places that they had inspiration for that scene.
And that just sounds amazing.
It's
But at the
beautiful.
same time, you just reminded me of another old character from an anime, and now I think I have a new cosplay.
Yes,
Dang it.
good.
You ever seen Ninja Scroll?
No, I haven't.
So the main character, he's not dressed up as anything other than the typical, kimono style pants and all that with the straw, hat. But it's simplistic, but he is such an iconic character in the movie. But it is
Okay.
definitely not one for kids. This is one of the originals that came out a while back that was considered like the highly adult, no, anime is not for kids era.
Okay. Would you recommend
Definitely.
it?
Oh, I highly recommend it. It's just definitely bloody, adult features to it. A lot of things going on,
Okay.
but it's a hand drawn style. The older style. It was epic back then and still holds to this day.
I'm glad to check it out. What was it called? Ninja Scroll?
Yep.
Okay, I'll check it out.
There you go.
Hmm.
Now, of course, we are coming close to the end of the show today. We're going to go ahead and end up with just a couple extra questions here for you. Now, what was one of your favorite experiences that you've had at any con?
That's a really difficult question. But one of my favorite experiences would have to be Colossal Con last year.
Okay.
And it's not just one any pinpoint experience. It was the entire con. It was like going to my first con all over again, and it was completely magical.
I like that.
So what happened is it was everyone was finally in the realization that we were out in public again. We were seeing people. We were out with the people that we wanted to be around again, and we weren't just seeing these people online or on a screen anymore. We were in person. So everyone at that con was so focused on making friends. I made so many friends. I still talk to them at that con, and it was incredible. It was just the most positive con I've ever been to. I know there were some other issues in the background, but like from my experience, it was amazing, and it makes me really excited to go back again this year.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know how that feels. I mean, going to only one con for as long as I have, and then finally branching out, going to different ones, small, large. It was eye opening. It's like, oh, they're not all the same. I mean, in my mind, I knew they're not the same, but
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere of each one was so different. I went to one that was quite small compared to what I'm used to, but they were so inclusive and the atmosphere was welcoming. Then I went to another one which was a little bit bigger, but it felt like, okay, we're just in a hotel lobby. And at the same time, everyone was extremely nice. Different, but that one I'm trying to see if I can go back to again, but this time as a member of the press.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I hear what you mean, going to different places like that, but having that everyone coming up to you, talking, making friends, you know, if there was anything negative, it was so minor of a negative that it just didn't even register.
Yep. And honestly, it was healing for me. A little bit more of a background is I was remote, but I was a COVID-19 frontline worker, and I saw all of the dread, all of the anxiety, all of the depression, and had to get
Mhm.
some people out of really dark places. And I was always that person. It's like, are we just all going to be stuck like this forever? Like, no, no, we're not. And I'm going to make sure of it because I was in a position where I could make sure of it. So seeing the everyone just be out and happy again was really, really healing for me. And I was very happy to see that. And I had the same kind of experience at GalaxyCon as well. And then MatsureiCon, where everyone was just excited to be out again. And it's kind of everything registered that, oh, we can go to these things again and not have to worry. This is amazing. So,
Definitely. Now, for all the young cosplayers out there, people who want to go ahead and take up the first snip of fabric, use the tape, and so forth, what words of wisdom would you give them?
please do not be afraid to get creative. You do not need to be perfect. And if you would prefer to have something one way, do it. Don't try to match what you see on the screen or online because that's going to take a lot more learning than you may even have time for if you're trying to make it for like a con or something. But it is always 100% worth it to make something that you're happy with, and if you want to add to it later on, add to it. But be so mindful of your budget because cosplay is something that's so easy to just be like, well, I need this piece and this piece and this piece for this cosplay, and the next thing you know, you're spending thousands of dollars on something that you may even wear once. So just be super mindful of that because I have put myself in a situation where I had to scramble to pay rent because I just got so stuck into that cycle. And also the whole thing of like not just making it, but also not being afraid to closet cosplay. Closet cosplays are amazing. I love them. I every time someone's like, I got this out of my closet, I like jump up and down. I'm so excited about that because that's just the coolest thing. Um, Also, do not be afraid to buy your cosplay. Like for me, I first got Lucifer. I normally, like I said, I normally make all my cosplays from scratch. I get the pattern, I cut out the fabric, I get the foam out, I do everything. I even did metalworking for one of my cosplays and welding. Like I did all of that, but I was also competing with that cosplay. So that's like I said before, that's different. Um, but I wanted to cosplay him sooner than later, so he was the first cosplay I bought, and I bought the wings. I normally make my wings. I even did wings as like someone commissioned me for wings before, but I wanted to cosplay him sooner. I wanted to do a certain version, so I bought it, and there's no shame in that, no shame whatsoever. It was
Wholeheartedly agree.
thousands of dollars cheaper.
Yes. And it gives you more of a self worth at times too.
Hmm. Like, do I value my sanity or do I value this cosplay? 100% of the time, you need to focus on your health over cosplay, especially if you're in a cosplay that you're not comfortable in. Take what you learned from that uncomfortable wig experience, that uncomfortable backpack experience, or whatever prop you have or clothing, and then learn from it and make it comfortable for you next time. So your health is much more important than cosplay.
An experience in which I actually had back in November this year. Well, this past year. So
Well,
definitely well said.
thank you.
Well, it was definitely a pleasure having you on the show. If you'd like to stay in the studio afterwards, you may. For everyone else out there, be humble, just be yourselves and enjoy. And of course, remember, if you could dream it, believe, create. Have a great night, everyone.
Are you interested in cosplay, currently a cosplayer, or have an experience you wish to share? Want to be on the show? Simply text, email, or send a message on our Facebook page. I can't wait to hear from you.